Chapter 313 Decision. At this moment, Han Li turned his head toward the handsome youth and politely said, "Sixth senior martial brother has also come. The affairs of this little brother have truly troubled senior martial brother." Wu Xuan indifferently responded with N and said nothing more. Han Li simply smiled, displaying nothing out of the ordinary. He clearly understood now that ever since that matter with Dong Zuaner, the sixth senior martial brother did not find Han Li pleasant to the eye. However, Han Li himself didn't really mind much. After all, this person was much easier to deal with than hypocrites and other such vile characters. Right now, however, Wu Xuan was looking at Han Li with a trace of amazement. Last time they had seen each other, Han Li was only at early foundation establishment. But now, after just a short period of time, Han Li had already entered mid-foundation establishment. How could Wu Xuan, who was still lingering at early foundation establishment, not feel greatly astonished and envious? "Senior martial brothers, please come in. I'll go ahead and steep a pot of good tea for you." Han Li invited the four into the room with a smile and then turned around and went inside ahead of the others. "There is no rush to drink tea. Let's first talk about the Black Fiend School's experts. I've always wanted to have a few truly great battles with Foundation Establishment cultivators. Unfortunately, when I was at Master's side, the old man didn't allow me or 8th Junior Martial Brother to freely kill Devil Dao cultivators. Otherwise, I would possibly be in the same boat as Junior Brother Han and be dispatched to the border to engage in mutual combat." When Song Meng and the others entered the room and sat down, he hastily asked this with itching impatience and curiosity. This fourth senior martial brother normally treated people extremely coldly. But now that fierce close combat was imminent, he immediately acted like any other person, becoming excited and unafraid. "Nonsense. I've heard that success in frontline battles doesn't rely solely on how many enemies you've killed before. What's most important is one's own cultivation." Because Junior Martial Brother Han had bitterly cultivated beyond everyone else with great success, he was able to naturally succeed in this area. When the third senior martial brother Lu Jing heard Song Meng's words, he couldn't help but tighten his face and say this with a somewhat rebuking tone. Hearing this, Han Li felt greatly surprised. He hadn't thought that these three senior martial brothers would speak mercilessly. He believed that with Song Meng's temperament, he wouldn't be immediately rebuked. This left Han Li dumbstruck. Song Meng only chuckled and then remained silent. While Han Li was left in shock, the three senior martial brothers had suddenly turned their heads to him and amiably said, "Master already gave us a rough explanation, but in these passing days, I'm sure that new information has surfaced. I hope Han Li could give us a detailed briefing." "Yes. I am also very curious. Who's part of this evil school that dares to abduct so many cultivators? They truly have great courage." Seventh martial sister Zhang Weiniang didn't appear to be much older than Han Li. She had a round face with great clear white skin, and her smile had two shallow dimples. She was truly adorable. However, Han Li clearly understood that this senior martial sister Zhang was a genuine genius cultivator. He had heard that by the age of 16, she had already entered Foundation Establishment. She was now only one step away from mid-foundation establishment and received much favor from Li Huayuan and his wife. With that thought, Han Li sighed and slowly said, "Senior martial sister Zhang probably already knows that the majority of the cultivators abducted by the Black Fiend School were used as blood sacrifices for cultivation. A small number of them were spared, threatened into becoming their wretched followers. As a group of evil cultivators unfit to be seen under sunlight, they would naturally have great courage. Furthermore, after so many years of development, they now have quite a few Foundation Establishment experts, each of them extremely vicious. Blood sacrifice. That evil cultivation art that raises one's cultivation by absorbing the blood essence of other cultivators?" When Wu Xuan heard this, his face hardened, asking this with a trembling voice. Song Meng and the others also displayed similar shock. "8th Junior Martial Brother, are you not mistaken? Is it truly that bloody cultivation art? Lu Jing's scholarly face had a menacing air and a faint, ominous glint could be seen from his eyes. When Han Li saw this, his heart trembled. He had heard long ago that although this third senior martial brother did not have the greatest cultivation among Li Huayawen's disciples, he was famed among the junior generation of the seven sects for his bloody, obsessive hatred of evil and have slain countless degenerate cultivators by his hand. This was the main reason why martial idiots one like Song Meng held such reverence toward third senior martial brother Lu Jing. That's correct. They have cultivated like this for many years. Han Li naturally didn't conceal anything about the Black Fiend school and nodded his head with certainty. Junior martial brother Han, tell us everything that happened, senior martial brother Lu solemnly said to Han Li. The circumstances are as such. I had originally gone to attend a banquet at Prince Sin's residence with the Qin clan lord. Han Li slowly narrated through the events that occurred since that day, at Prince Sin's residence. Naturally, secret details involving himself were excluded. However, Han Li did not expect that these three senior martial brothers were not easily deceived. They interrupted Han Li several times and carefully inquired about a few unclear details. Since the slightest mistake would cause Han Li to reveal everything, these questions truly caused sweat to flow down Han Li's back several times. This was the first time Han Li felt that weaving lies was truly difficult. After he answered all of Lu Jing's questions, the other three's complexions greatly changed. This small Black Fiend school actually had 4 foundation establishment blood servants, not to mention several altar masters with similar cultivation bases and that profound school master. Furthermore, what was more troublesome was that their nest was actually Yu Jing's forbidden city. Senior martial brother Lu, should we ask master for instructions and ask the sect for more men? With just us, I fear it will be extremely difficult to capture the Black Fiend sect's school master, Wu Xuan said with hesitation. It was obvious that he didn't want to violate the 7 sects entry ban and that he wasn't entirely confident in his own strength. What? It seems 6th junior martial brother is somewhat cowardly. When Lu Jing heard Wu Xuan's words, he raised his sharp eyebrows and spat this out with annoyance. Of course not. I only feel that acting as such is a bit unreliable. According to junior martial brother Han's words, they won't be able to run for quite some time. As such, asking for master's opinion seems more appropriate. Wu Xuan hastily disputed, naturally unwilling to admit this. Oh. That's good. This elder brother was just suspicious. However, junior martial brother Wu doesn't need to ask such a worrisome question. When we arrived, master repeatedly warned us that if we encountered any difficulties, we should ask for assistance from Martial Senior Hui Ming's disciples, who were sent to the nearby South Crow City for sect affairs. With Masters and Martial Senior Hui Ming's friendly relationship, they will be certain to help us. Humph. Since we already know the Imperial Palace has already become a den of evil, how could I, Lu, turn a blind eye to them? Don't hesitate to follow me in. As for whether our charge into the Imperial Palace will violate the 7 sects prohibition, I, Lu Jing, will bear all the responsibility. Lu Jing declared with an ice-cold expression. Everyone at the scene looked at each other in dismay except for 7th senior martial sister Zhang Weinian, who looked at him with enchanted eyes. It was obvious she had long fallen for this 3rd senior martial brother. Good. Since 3rd martial brother has said this, then junior martial brother naturally won't miss such a good show as this and will fight, alongside senior martial brother. Song Meng became excited by senior martial brother Lu's words and heroically said this. I also won't leave senior martial brother. I will certainly charge together with him into the Imperial City. Zhang Weinian repeatedly agreed, having come to her senses. When Lu Jing heard these two speak, his face smiled, expressing his gratitude. Then he turned his head toward Han Li and Wu Xuan and asked, I don't know what you junior martial brothers intend to do. If you feel that senior martial brothers' methods are inappropriate and do not wish to participate in this battle, this senior martial brother will absolutely not force you. When he said this, Han Li hesitated, pondering about the advantages and disadvantages. Wu Xuan, on the other hand, clenched his teeth. After his face changed between red and white several times, he said, "Unless Master permits it with his very own mouth, I will not deliberately violate the prohibition. If Senior Martial Brother truly wishes to personally charge into the Imperial Palace, I will not take part in it. I must first ask Master for instructions." His reasons were completely justifiable. "You what?" Hearing these words, Zhang Weiniang stood up with fury filling her chest. She wanted to say something but was stopped by Lu Jing. "Sixth Junior Martial Brother's words are reasonable. To charge together with me into the Forbidden City is a strenuous and unrewarding task. We might also incur further blame after we withdraw." Third Senior Martial Brother calmly commented. "What does Junior Martial Brother Han think? Could it be you are also going to mimic this fellow's example? You are a mid-foundation establishment cultivator. Surely you aren't so cowardly." In order to give her beloved a helping hand, Zhang Weiniang did not hesitate to use such shallow provocations. When Han Li heard this, he inwardly rolled his eyes. Han Li didn't immediately respond and instead lowered his head and thought, muttering to himself for a moment. This Senior Martial Brother Lu was very considerate and did not rush Han Li. Instead, he calmly sat down and waited for Han Li's decision. "All right, I will go. I was the one who originally raised this matter, so it would be inexcusable if I didn't go. Furthermore, I truly wish to experience the might of this mysterious Black Fiend schoolmaster." After a long while, Han Li lifted his head and suddenly smiled, saying this with a soft voice. "One martial idiot, obsessed with combat and fighting but not much else.